Hey guys, and welcome back to Epic Game Feed. Today we are doing our card breakdowns of Blood. This week we are going to be doing all Blood cards. I'll probably do 4 or 5 an episode and just go over what they are, how I see them, and how they will be good in constructed or draft. And we have here Atrophy. And what this does, it gives target troop a permanent -1/-1, and it draws a card. It is a 4-drop, and it costs 1 blood resource. So the pluses to this card, the good things about this card, it replaces itself. There we go. So a card for a card, not too bad. It is possible removal. It is later in the game, though. You're already on turn 4 where this removal is working, and it only does -1/-1, so it's not that great that it does the -1/-1. I wish it was like a -2/-2 possibly, but with the draw a card probably would cost a little bit more. It splashes well. It only costs 1 blood resource, so you could splash it into another color or something like that. And then the only drawbacks about it is it's only a 1/1, I think. -1/-1, I mean. Which is not that great of a removal. But you get the draw card. So on the PvE side of it, you have a Dragonite, or Degenerative Mace. And it makes it so it's 1 less cost, so that makes it workable. I think it makes it a way better card at 3 resource. Definitely something that you're going to want to put on. The card makes it a lot more versatile. And then for the legendary equipment that you can put on it, if the troop dies, you draw a card. So not only will it replace itself, but you'll be able to draw another card. So it's potentially a 3-drop that is a removal at -1/-1 for those fast-paced decks that throw out the -1/-1. And it also draws an extra card, so you draw 2 cards if the troop dies. I think it's a pretty amazing card with that equipment on it. Problem is finding the equipment. Besides that, I'd say this card is probably okay in constructed. You definitely need to have it in like a removal deck or something like that. I don't think it's very playable in draft. Costs too much. It is a removal, but costs a lot. Let's move on to the next card, which is Blood Aura. And the way I'm selecting these cards every day is basically I'm going in alphabetical order down a list of the revealed cards. Blood Aura, target troop gets +1/+1, and this troop can't be blocked except by artifact troops and or blood troops. It is a 2-drop with 1 blood resources. This splashes very well into any deck, and it's great against anyone not using blood or artifact. Only drawbacks I see is if you put it on a card early, usually that card's probably a 1/1 or a 2/1 or a 3/1, something 1. So basically it's going to pump it up to 2 defense. And if you're against someone who has removal, that's 2 cards for 1 of their removal spells. So it's never good to do a 2 for 1. And then it also sucks against blood and artifacts. Not that great against blood and artifact decks. I think it is definitely something that I would pick when I'm in a draft, though, situation. Depending, like, if I don't want the other person to use this against me, I'm not using any blood troops or artifact troops, I might want to snatch it up to take it away from someone else. It is the evasion of bread, so not too far down the ladder from bombs and removal. You could play it in a draft, and basically it would become a awesome card that just keeps killing. That could turn one of your lower creatures into a bomb by basically letting it hit them without them having any way of killing it. And there is no PvE for that card, no socketable items or anything. So we're moving on to the next one, which is Blood Cauldron Ritualist. Sounds really cool. Not my favorite card. So what it does, you sacrifice a troop. This troop gets a +2/+2 this turn. It's a 2-drop for 1 blood resource. The only two things I could think that this thing would work good with is it splashes easy into other decks, and it works well in like a Shin Hair / Minion Spawn deck. Like if you have a whole bunch of 0/1s or something like that, you could sacrifice a ton of troops and just pump it up crazy in one turn. But besides that, I think the drawbacks are pretty out there. I mean, you only get +2/+2. It's not permanent. It hurts your board presence. You have to take out a troop for it to work. And beyond that, it's under the curve at 2 costs for a 1/1. With I think, a bad ability. The ability is only good in one type of deck, basically. So how I determine the curve is for each 1 point of attack and 1 point of defense, I give it 0.5, and if it doesn't get to what it cost, which is 2, then it is negative. So basically this one has 1 point, it costs 2, so it's at a -1 at the moment, and I don't think the ability really brings it up too far. Maybe a 0.5, possibly. I would probably even give it like a negative number, but in the best deck, I would say that it's a 0.5 increase, which brings it to a -0.5. And I don't believe this one has any. Yes, it does not have any PvE. So we're gonna go on to our next one, which is Blood Harbinger. And I really like this card. It could be really fun in like a cycle deck or something like that. What it does is when this troop dies, target opposing champion may pay 5 health. If they don't, search your deck for a Blood Harbinger and put it into your hand. It is a 2-drop at 2 blood resource. It is good for like delay decks or something where you want to put him out to wait for the next your next thing, your next combo, or building up a combo. It's on curve. It being a 2-drop for a 3/1, it automatically already puts it at even because it's cost 2 and you get 1.5 for its attack and 0.5 for its defense, putting it at 2, at just even at 0. And then I think the ability pops it up a 1 or a 2, so it's up there. Not sure if I would take it for a draft, as you need more Harbingers to really make it something. So they just wouldn't pay the 5 health, and they say, go ahead and find one. If you drew another one, then awesome. But that one's not going to bring out another one. You won't find 3 of these, I don't think. And on top of that, the ability is fun. It's possibly an easy cycle for 5 damage. I mean, an easy cycle or 5 damage. 5 damage is a lot in this game, I think, especially since you're starting at 20 health. It is harder to splash with, as it's 2 blood resource to bring out. And then the other drawback is pretty obvious. The opponent might not do what you want. So if you want them to pay 5 health, they probably might not do that, and they just say, bring out another one of those. It was easy to kill. It's a 3/1. Or they might do the 5 health and you were wanting to bring out another Blood Harbinger. So kind of like head games going on right there. And the PvE side. And what I like to look at when I'm doing PvE, you know what? I'm not really too interested in how the effects happen or whatever. I really like the names on them, and Blood Drinker's Necklace just sounds amazing. It's something that I would have to find for this thing. But on top of that, it's an awesome effect. You may search your deck for any orc instead. Instead of looking for a Blood Harbinger, you can look for a different orc. So you're playing an orc deck and you're looking for a different type of orc instead of the Blood Harbinger this time. Bring out something amazing. Not sure, would have to look into all of the orcs. And then you have the Harvester. If you put an orc into your hand this way, it gets permanent -3 cost and speed. So if you are going to get another Blood Harbinger, it costs -1. You can automatically play it because it's got speed and it costs you -1. So does that mean that you get a resource? Who knows? We will see. Probably not. But fun to think about that. Most orcs I don't think are a lot over 3, so even if it brought it down to an orc to a 1, that's amazing. Awesome equipment for it. Definitely makes him a must-have in any orc PvE deck, I believe. And then our next one is Blood Thrall. This is a basic action. When a troop you control deals damage to an opposing champion this turn, that champion chooses and discards a card. It's a 3-drop for 2 blood resource. I think it's okay for a discard card. It's not the best. They get to choose the card. It's not random. I think that it's only good in certain type of theme decks, like a discard themed deck or something like that. I think it costs a lot for a discard card. It makes it not flexible with going into other ones with the 2 blood resource, and then it also is a little bit higher than I usually would like for a discard card. And it's a basic action. Now, if it was a quick action, that would be awesome. If it was a quick action and you got to decide which card, basically it could make them so it's a empty draw in their hand, and I think it would be worth the 3, possibly even 4. So let's look at the PvE side of it. You got the Grave Digger's Boots, and this becomes a quick action. Just what I was talking about. That would become awesome. I would probably always play this in my deck if I had the Grave Digger Boots on this guy, on this basic action. And to make it even better, the gloves. Necro Vice glove look. These gloves look at the champion's hand and choose a card for them to discard instead. Exactly what I just said just a minute ago would make this card amazing, and there you go. The PvE side of it does it, and I think you should put in your deck if you are playing a Blood and you have either of these equipments. Makes it totally worth it. And we are on to our next card, which is Bone Warrior. If this troop would die, it transforms into a pile of bones. But what's a pile of bones, you say? This troop can't attack or block. This troop transforms into Bone Warrior for 4. I think it's a pretty cool card for... it's a chump blocker. It comes back to life if needed. Great for stalling. I think it's awesome in any pure blood deck because you're having the 2 resource. It's not really... It's kind of flexible if you throw it into another deck, but chump blocker if you put it in another deck that can return to life as a 1/2. It's a little under the curve with its cost, but I think that its ability probably bumps it up to an even cost, which makes it decent. I would say if I was going Blood, I'd probably pick this card in a draft. Not sure if it would be too competitive and constructed, but besides that, fun card. And then you have the PvE side of it. He gets a Flask of Reanimator. It's a trinket, and it makes the pile of bones cost 2 less, which is awesome because it costs 4, and I thought that was a little bit much for it. But on the PvE side, everything gets a little bit better when you put equipment on stuff. If not a lot better. Mostly a lot better, but right here, a little bit better. And then you have the Unhollowed Breastplate. Makes him a +1 attack, +0 defense. And I think that makes him a lot better. Like, that makes him so much better with the breastplate on. It's a 2/2. It can be more than a chump blocker. You block something and it kills something, and then you bring it back for 2 or 4 if you don't have the flask. But worth it in PvE deck yet again. I think that's going to be the case for most of the equipment if you can find it and have both of them on the card. I'm not sure if you can even have both of them on the card. Maybe you can only have 1 or 2. I haven't really looked too much into PvE. Maybe I'll check that out in further episodes. And that is it for our card reviews today. I'll probably do another one tomorrow with the next 4 or 5 cards. If you liked it, make sure you comment, share it, like it, follow me, all that good stuff. I will see you next time, and peace.